What's good? It's your boy Fanon. Man, we getting closer to a major welterweight championship fight that I am looking forward to. And no, it is not Sean Porter versus Danny Garcia's attempt to figure out who the next guy to duck Errol Spence Jr. is. What I'm talking about is the fight for the WBO championship, which is going to take place, I do believe, this June, with Terence Crawford and Jeff Horn for the WBO welterweight championship of the world. A fight that should have already taken place. I think that it was originally supposed to take place in April, but it was pushed back because of a quote-unquote hand injury that personally I wasn't buying at all. I thought it had something to do with Manny Pacquiao and all that stuff, but I'll get into that in a second. But there's been some things been said going back and forth between the Horn camp and the Crawford camp that I find entertaining. So I'm gonna share that with you. Now, before I do that, I'm definitely hope that you will subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. I'm probably gonna do a live stream right after I get done with this video, maybe about a half hour after I post it. And I'm going to talk about this subject. Also, talk about some other welterweight topics like Errol Spence Jr. Saying that he wants the winner between Danny Garcia and Sean Porter, and how Sean Porter thinks that the fight is going to be made sometime in the August-September time frame. So hopefully that'll happen. We're definitely going to talk about that in a live stream. So the best way to know about it is subscribe and hit the bell icon, and and when you hit the bell icon, hit select get all notifications so that you can be notified of when we have it. Very good discussions with very knowledgeable boxing fans. And thank you to everybody that donates in the super chat. We support local youth sport program. And every time you guys donate, it is super, super appreciated. And it goes a good way towards helping us, support those kids. Also, thank you very much for you guys. I know I put ads in the videos, and so that's how this platform raises money for itself and for the creators. So your patience is much, much appreciated. So thank you very much. Now, on to the two things that were said by their team, man. And I gotta tell you, man, to me, one of them is funny. Both of them are kind of funny. In the first one, Crawford Horn himself says that he hopes that Crawford doesn't get scared and postpone the fight again. And in the second one, Horn's coach says that Crawford made a big mistake and believes that he's going to get knocked out. So, as you can see, the Horn side of this equation is doing their absolute best to pub up this fight by talking some noise, man. And my shout out to my Aussie subscribers, cats down there from Brisbane, NBT Boxing, Sleeping One Eye Open, cats down there who are supporting their guy from Australia in. Despite the overwhelming likelihood that he's about to get beat up. But anyway, let me go through what this cat says, and we'll discuss it. It's all in good fun, in my opinion, man. I'm looking forward to this fight. He said, Horn, I hope Crawford doesn't get scared, postpone, fight again. Oh, and the other one is that Horn's manager, the reason he says that he might get knocked out, that the mistake that Crawford made was picking horsehair gloves. Puncher's gloves, and say, hey man, if you're gonna try to come with some puncher's gloves, you're gonna get knocked out because we're ready, right? So let me go through those and discuss it. Jeff Horn has his doubts over whether the hand injury that prompted Terence Crawford to postpone their WBO welterweight title clash ever happened. Horn's promoter Dean Lonergan last month alleged that Crawford's bruised right hand was a fake injury concocted by his camp and Top Rank to push back the fight for financial reasons. The June 9th bout in Las Vegas will be screened on the new ESPN streaming app, which wouldn't have been ready had it gone on the original April date. Lonergan asked Crawford's camp to provide medical evidence to prove the injury actually happened, but it was not provided. There are also suggestions Crawford wanted more time to prepare after discovering how good Horn looked in training. Hopefully, he doesn't watch me anytime soon and get too scared. It might get postponed again, Horn said. I don't know why they postponed last time, but whatever happens, happens. I have friends tracking him on Instagram and Facebook and whatever. He seemed to be bowling and using that hand quite fine for a guy with the hand injury. The fight originally was scheduled for April 14th. However, Horn is convinced the delay has actually worked in his favor. I'm on track, that's for sure, Horn said. I'm feeling as fit as I've ever felt because it's basically a double prep for me. I'm in the best shape at the moment, and I think I'm going to be very, very strong at welterweight. Horn and his trainer, Glenn Rushton, remain bullish about their chances of snapping Crawford's unbeaten streak despite being rank underdogs for the Las Vegas showdown. Crawford, the 30-year-old from Omaha, Nebraska, is regarded as one of the best pound-for-pound fighters and has won 23 of his 32 fights by knockout. For Horn, this is the second defense of his title after stunning Manny Pacquiao last July in Brisbane, Australia. So, as you see, they say, I'm not buying it, man, on the hand injury, and trying to chalk it up to the fact that I think that it has something to do with that ESPN app, and the fact that Manny Pacquiao did not agree to be on a co-main event on a pay-per-view for a pay-per-view, which screwed up the finances behind the fight. But the bad thing about it for Jeff Horn is when they changed that date, then they couldn't put it on pay-per-view. Horn's team, Duco Promotions and Lonergan, couldn't put it on pay-per-view in Australia, which screwed them over and might have cost those cats, if I remember correctly, they said millions of dollars. So these guys are hot, man. And they're going to definitely, I don't think that's going to change their approach to try to come win this fight. But, man, I did videos on that, and I'm telling you, man, I think they got a good argument. I think they got a real good argument. I don't want to call Bud Crawford a liar or get into stuff, I think, but money is money, man. Now, this other thing was also interesting. This thing about the horsehair glove. Man, Crawford made a big mistake. He'll get knocked out. The chances of a knockout in Jeff Horn's world title defense against Terence Crawford has risen dramatically, with both fighters to use gloves with next to no padding. Horn's trainer Glenn Rushton has decided to fight fire with fire after learning that sponsors Everlast that Crawford intended to use gloves made of horsehair rather than the usual foam padding for their June 9th showdown in Las Vegas. Horsehair gloves can be easily manipulated to expose the knuckles and increase punching power, with Rushton describing them as Clayton gloves. The gloves that you have when you're not having a glove. The gloves you have when you're not having a glove. Rushton said it was a decision the unbeaten American would live to regret. It's a game changer. And it probably doubles the shock, I would say, through the glove, he said. If he wants to go back to the primitive days, if he wants a gladiator contest and fight with these on, then so be it. The discovery is a testament to Rushton's no stone unturned approach to preparation and ensures it won't be a nasty shock when they arrive at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. That's part of what I do, he said. It's a matter of doing your research. I need to know exactly what Crawford thinks, what he eats, how he trains, how he sleeps, what his demons are. Horn has never fought with horsehair gloves before, but will now get a chance to train with them and adjust to the impact over the next 4 weeks. While the 30-year-old has had hand injuries before, Rushton said they were like steel and would absorb the extra damage thanks to a specially tailored conditioning program. If anyone lands a clean punch with one of these gloves, it's going to hurt Just like a bear punch to the face, Horn said. It's going to be dangerous in there. Russian also said that the postponement of the fight from the original April date had worked in their favor, claiming Horn would be 20% fitter and stronger, having now undergone a double preparation. I think this is going to be a knockout, he said. To survive 12 rounds with very aggressive fighters here, it's going to be almost superhuman to do it. Watching the power he's been displaying lately, when I visualize Jeff with these gloves out there, we're in for one heck of a battle. I love it. Way to talk it up, man. Talk it up, top it up. Because Bob Arum ain't doing anything from what I've seen to promote this fight. So it's good to see from the Australian side of this fight that they're talking it up, that they're preparing for it. I mean, obviously they're going to prepare for it, but they're trying to get inside of Bud Crawford's head, man, which I think is going to be to no avail. However, it'd be interesting to know from a professional boxer standpoint what the ramifications of the horse-haired gloves are. Now, my understanding is those are the gloves that Floyd Mayweather Jr. would not allow Marcus Maidana to wear when they fought. Because clearly, it's going to favor, I would assume the gloves with no padding would favor the heavier puncher. And usually the heavier puncher is the bigger guy. I'm not so certain that that's the case here, where I don't think that don't see Jeff Horn being necessarily the heavier puncher. But like Ali said, hey man, if you can't hit him, the gloves don't matter. You know what I mean? You can't hit what your eyes can't see. And I don't think that I think that when Terence Crawford does not want to be hit by Jeff Horn, then Terence Crawford is going to make sure that Jeff Horn can't hit him. I do believe that his ability to fight orthodox, to fight southpaw, to box from the outside is going to be the deciding factor here. The big risk for Terence Crawford, in my opinion, is when there are times when he likes to mix it up. There's times when I've seen him get hit with some shots that he'll then allow himself to stay within arm's reach and put him in a situation where he takes a couple shots that otherwise he wouldn't have had to take. I've seen that with Yuriokas Gamboa. Definitely saw it with Felix Diaz. Now the fight with Julius Ndungo, that never came to fruition because the fight was he just blitzed him, right? But I've seen there be times when Terence Crawford is willing to exchange. So if he gets into a situation with Jeff Horn where he's willing to engage, he's willing to exchange, then those gloves might make a difference. I just don't see Jeff Horn as being, a tremendously powerful, it's just being a tremendously powerful fighter. Now, if Terence Crawford was getting in there with horsehair gloves with Errol Spence Jr., hey man, that that might not be the smartest thing to do, man, because that dude seems like he is extremely, extremely strong. He hits very, very hard, and he loves to mix it up. So I think that might be a bad mix getting in there with Errol Spence. But honestly, now that I think about it, after it comes out of my mouth, I don't really think it would make a difference with Errol Spence Jr. what the gloves are, man. That dude is going in there trying to hurt you. But of course, in this fight, I'm still leaning towards Jeff Horn. I'm leaning towards Terence Crawford. I'm leaning towards Terence Crawford like 80-20. And the thing with the horsehair gloves for me, the significant part of there being him wearing puncher's gloves is the fact that Jeff Horn cuts easily. Similar to what the fight with Lomachenko versus Jorge Linares. Jorge Linares, from my understanding and from what I've seen, he cuts. He swells and he cuts. And once you start cutting, you're never really going to stop cutting, from my understanding. Because anytime your body's damaged or you're healing from a cut, from a wound, it doesn't come back all the way. So you're more susceptible to it. Now, the last two fights that I've seen Jeff Horn fight, which is one with Manny Pacquiao, and the second with Gary Cochran, he was bleeding profusely, right? Now, if Gary Cochran can open you up, then, I mean, Manny Pacquiao being able to open your eye up is one thing. But these were different. Actually, these are different eyes. One was that massive gap over, I think, well, definitely one was over the right, one was over the left, and then he had one cut. Horn had one cut that took place in a sparring session preparing for Gary Cochran that was right down the middle. So when you start turning into a bleeder, that's where I think the problem is going to be with Jeff Horn. I don't see Terence Crawford having I don't see Terence Crawford stopping him like a Julius Ndungo, like the way Julius Ndungo got stopped. Or, the way that, this ain't going to be the type of stoppage like a Deontay Wilder or Luis Ortiz type of stoppage. It might be more of a Anthony Joshua Carlos Takam type of stoppage, except for more legitimate, where really the guy is bleeding all over the place. He's got a cut over the left. He's got a cut over his right eye. He's cut down the middle. And over time, they just say, that cut is too bad. And then the fight is stopped off that. Now, I think that Terence Crawford has enough skill where he can jab Jeff Horn and hit Jeff Horn with lead lefts, or if he's in the south paw stance, lead lefts. If he's in the orthodox, lead rights. I mean, and from what I can see as far as hand speed, there's a tremendous hand speed advantage for Terence Crawford. There's a big foot speed advantage for Terence Crawford. So to me, it really does leave Jeff Horn open for just getting tattooed in the middle of his face with horsehair gloves, right? And the longer the fight goes, the closer those gloves are going to get to those knuckles, and the more times you get scraped across your face, the more likely that's going to open up. So that's how I see the fight happening, or ending on cuts. And I think that these gloves, are one step closer to making that happen. Now, the interesting thing is, and I guess I have to ask somebody, whether there's a lot of cats in the LDBC who have done interviews with Bomac. My man Black Fight Fan TV has hooked up with him a couple times. Also, Cornerman Radio's done interviews with Bomac. Brian McIntyre, the trainer of Terence Crawford. So I'm gonna probably shoot some guys some emails, man. See if they can ask a question to see if this is even unusual. If these are the gloves that are these the gloves that Terence Crawford always wears, or is this some one-off situation where he's moving up in weight and he's deciding, that he wants to get, maximize the power that he has now that he's at a bigger weight. I do find it a little curious that if he's working out in horsehair gloves and if he really did hurt his hand, did the fact that he hurt his hand, did that have anything to do with the fact that he had switched to horsehair gloves, which from my understanding really do increase the likelihood of you damaging your hands? Because, you got guys that are really, hard punchers, and horsehair gloves on the research that I did, of course, there's a lot of guys that watch the videos who are actual boxers, either amateur boxers or professional boxers. You can tell me if my research is off, but it does increase the likelihood of you hurting your hand. So maybe that had something to do with the injury that Terence Crawford had. But it would be interesting to know whether or not whether that was a situation that was, whether or not he always wears those gloves, or whether this is the first time that he's wearing the gloves, and he's wearing the gloves because he's moving up in weight. That would be an interesting thing to know. But I can't, obviously I can't speculate on that. But either way it goes, I don't care what gloves Jeff Horn is wearing. And I've always been a big supporter of Jeff Horn, well, at least from the time that he really came into the limelight before the Manny Pacquiao fight. I think highly of Jeff Horn. I think Jeff Horn is a rough, tough fighter, right? and he deserves a lot more credit than he gets. I just think that it's going to be a real tough fight with Terence Crawford, but it's a fight for Terence Crawford that I'm looking at that's really going to tell me, help me form my opinion about what the role, what the future holds for him in the welterweight division. Because if he has problems with Jeff Horn and has a rough, rugged, drag out fight with Jeff Horn, hey man, that's not going to bode well for him against the likes of even a Sean Porter, not even to speak of Errol Spence Jr. So we'll see what's up, man. I'm glad they're promoting the fight, and I'm out.